like to preface this story with, this really did happen, and all of this is true. Most of it to the best of my memory, because I was pretty young. Years ago, more than 20, nearly 30 years ago now, I guess, my mom met a lady at her work, and my mom was a charming person, easy to get along with, so people liked her. She was friendly. They got to talking, and they found out they had 2 kids. Well, she had 2 kids, and my mom had 2 kids, and they were close to the same age, so, hey, our kids should play together, because that was the old school mom logic. I don't know if it's still that way today. Parents used to think, oh, our kids are the same age, they should just be friends, automatically. They should just be friends. And she wasn't the only one that thought that way. I had other old relatives that introduced us to distant cousins. Oh, y'all are the same age. Okay, we got that in common. That doesn't mean we're going to get along and be best friends, but boy, they wanted it to be so. But anyway, we started hanging out, playing together, we didn't call it play dates, we'd go to the park together, we did things together, we went to each other's parties, and everything seemed pretty normal at first. But started to notice some stuff. Now, keep in mind, when you're young, like I think I was like 4, maybe 5 back then, is the mom was a little odd. She was hot and cold. One day she'd be talking and friendly. Next day she'd just be, or the next time we saw her, I say that, she'd be closed off and unfriendly. Just something was different. I didn't think anything about it, because as a kid, I just played with her kids who we got along with, because the daughter was the same age as me, and the son he's a good bit older. I think he's older than my sister, but close enough in age that we could still play together and destroy stuff, as kids do. And the mom just always acted a little bit odd. Something was a little off. And I remember she called my grandmother, who somehow became involved, because that's how close we got. She knew my grandmother. She was friendly with her, and she called, and she was freaking out because she was alone, and she was convinced somebody was there. This happened 3 or 4 times. One time we had to go over there, and there was police there were firefighters there, and she was just absolutely flipping out and didn't know what to do. So my grandmother had to go get her kids from daycare and a bunch of other stuff, and they hung out with us all day, and it ended up being pretty late at night when she came to get them. It was like 11 o'clock, which was impressive, and she showed up happy as can be with one of her friends. So I'm pretty sure she'd been doing some drugs to feel better. And they were married, and one thing I never noticed was, I don't remember much about the husband, but they were having issues. Again, like I said, it's stuff you don't notice as a kid because you're not paying attention. I mean, they must have noticed. Because then I remember another time, my cousin, she's a lot older, she was probably 17 or 18 at the time, she got her to babysit the kids. My cousin was like, sure, I want some extra money, let's do this. Well, she is supposed to stay till like 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock rolls around, she doesn't hear from her. My grandmother goes over there because she was real protective of my cousin. She just wanted to keep an eye on her while she's keeping an eye on the kids, because my grandmother didn't think we could do anything. And the lady calls her and says, hey, can you spend the night? And she's like, no, I'm 17 years old. She may have even been 16 at the time. I can't just spend the night and look after your kids. I can babysit them until you come back. She's like, well, can I stay out a little bit longer? She said, well, no, I agreed to watch your kids till 9 o'clock. I can't camp out here. I'm young. I have a curfew. And she ended up coming in at like 1 in the morning. And my cousins told me this, so she remembered. And she could do the voice. I can't. She turned to her and she said, well, unfortunately, I only pay $1 an hour. So my cousin was very pissed off, because she had to stay over, and she didn't even get well paid for it, because even in the early 90s, that wasn't a lot of money. And I think my mom started to realize the lady was a little crazy. Something was just off, because the birthday party, for one of the kids, she just disappeared. Just disappeared. We didn't see her for like 2 hours. This was her kid's birthday. Don't know where she went. Don't know what she was doing. She was just gone. But the dad was still there. And then one night, I hear knocking at the door, because my bedroom was closest to the front door. And it's her and her 2 kids. Earlier, her husband hit her or something. We never really got the specifics. But they came to our house and spent the night. She even brought a gun to our house, I learned later on. And my mom was having none of that. She's like, look, you got to... I think my mom hid it because she was freaking out and was going to shoot her husband. And then apparently she went and substitute taught at a school and brought that gun with her, because her husband was supposedly abusive. And he may have been. I'm not trying to say just because you're paranoid doesn't mean people aren't out to get you. But it's probably terrifying for my mom, because she was just like, well, what have I gotten myself into? I just wanted my kids to have some friends that they could play with. And this is what's come of it. She's staying at my house. And then eventually, not too long after that, she left her husband and took the kids to Florida. I have never heard or saw them since. And I think about it a lot, just because I don't remember their last name. And with the Facebook page, I wouldn't mind looking them up just to see what happened, because that was a lot of craziness and a lot going on. Because my parents are older when they had kids. They were in their mid-30s, and I think this lady was younger. So there's a big difference. Like they were not the types to make waves or do anything like that. They were, you work, you pay your bills, salt of the earth type people. And that made sense to them. But after that, my mom did not try to make any new friends at work. She was a lot more guarded and careful. She still had plenty of friends. It's just, I don't remember having play dates set up after that. She was just like, yeah, I've learned my lesson. And my cousin learned her lesson too, because I don't think she babysat again after that.